Dr. Zongpa, and welcome to Dawai Kudroen. My guest tonight, as I've already introduced in our conversation, is Lily Wangchhuk, the president of Druk Chirwang Tshogpa, one of the newly registered political parties. I'd like to welcome all of you to watch this interview live, coming to you from our studio here in Chupachula. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time. First question, you're going to be the first lady president in Bhutan. Do you think that would be some sort of advantage, or that would be the first, being the first lady president, would that carry some advantage vis-a-vis the other presidents?
Yes. Rather than advantage, I would say it's a huge responsibility, because as a party president, I not only have the responsibility of giving a good direction and guidance to my party, but I will also need to live up to the expectation of a lot of women out there. I think if I, as a woman president, am not able to perform, I think I would be setting a very bad example for the younger generation and for women. So rather than advantage, I take this as a huge responsibility as compared to other male presidents.
But what do you think? Do you think you'll be able to shoulder these responsibilities now that you have accepted this role?
Yes.
In any case?
Yes. I knew very well what I was getting into. It took me more than a year to come to this decision, and being fully aware of the challenges and responsibilities that it will entail, being fully aware about the difficulties that I will go through, and a lot of personal sacrifices that are involved. Knowing all the odds, I have taken this decision with my best of intention for the nation and for the country.
So now, as you already said in our conversation, there are some certain things that your party, Druk Chirwang Tshogpa, would like to do it differently from what the other parties would do it. And there are so many things that you have focused on. Now, being a female president, do you think you will be able to do those things as a female president? Or do you sometimes feel that being a female, you might win more sympathy votes, or might win votes from females? So these are some of the things that you can play around. Are you looking at all this?
In fact, I think as a woman, I have so much to contribute in our Bhutanese politics and democratic process. Women by nature, given our role in society as caregiver, we have this 300-degree perspective on many issues. And with me, I not only bring along my selfless nature, but also my multi-dimensional approach to many issues and many challenges that our country is going through. And I think there is so much that I can contribute in the political process. And I don't see in any way that the potential of earning sympathy votes, being a woman. I think if people vote for me and my party, it's because they believe in me and my party and what it stands for. And I'm fully confident that there's so much that I can contribute to DCT and to the country if we are given the mandate.
Yes. Ma'am, I'm not so sure about the international standards or what people outside of Bhutan would think of having a female leader.
Yes.
But at least in our society, talking to some of the people, they feel that it's good to have a female leader for a change.
Yes.
But again, the reservation that these people have is that female in general are so indecisive,
Yes.
could hardly come to a decision, not so bold like males, and this could be a serious setback or a bottleneck for you. How would you react to this?
I think it'll be so wrong to generalize. You can't categorize all women having a similar qualities like that. And I, for one, I don't think I possess any of those qualities. In fact, as a woman, I have a lot of capability and potential that I can contribute, and I don't see those qualities holding me back in any way. And I'm very confident about what I'm doing and where I'm headed for, and what is my objective and my vision for our country. In fact, for me, obtaining political power is not the end, because rather obtaining political power is means to an end, with the end being working towards positive change and positive transformation in the country. And I think my own decision of joining politics has been influenced by a number of professional and personal reasons. Just to share a little background, over the last 18 years of my service to the nation, I've served with the government, with UN and NGO. And I've seen the world, and I've seen all 20 Wangchhuk in our country. And I've seen the development gap, I've seen inequality, I've seen social injustice, I've seen a number of challenges in the country and in the society. And as a concerned citizen, I've always been very vocal with my expression and with my thoughts, and I've even gone to agencies where I've felt that things could be done differently, and I've also made a lot of constructive criticism. But unfortunately, I think most government agencies are so guarded about their own territory that there don't seem to be much room for constructive criticism or recommendation.
Yes.
That eventually I thought that if you really want to see change in your country, a positive change, and if you really want to see things being done differently, I think you need to be part of it. Just sitting outside the system and complaining and offering recommendation and suggestion does not work. So my own reason for joining into politics was really motivated by that finally I've reached a stage in my life, I'm crossed 40 now, I've reached a stage in my life where I felt, enough is enough. If I were to see change in our country, we have to be out there and we have to be part of change. And His Majesty has gifted us with democracy. Now to ensure its success and strengthen our democracy, I think the responsibility lies on all of us. We can no longer be sitting back in our comfort zone and complaining that things are not being done the way it should be done. If you want to see change, you have to be there. And I think this realization became even stronger with my own near-death experience in 2011 when I was diagnosed with cancer, and there was no guarantee that I was going to fully recover. But when I was at a stage like that where I got reminded of impermanence, suddenly, I recalled that nothing else in life mattered,
Yes.
Name, fame, money, power, whatever you have, when you die, it's all impermanent. But the biggest motivation for me to get better was if I had a second chance, if I got a second chance to live. And if I can make positive differences in the lives of other people, I can not only leave a positive legacy behind, but also take with me a lot of good karma. And eventually when you die, this is what you can take with you to many lives in future. So today, if I'm in politics, it's for me, politics is spirituality. I have joined politics with my best of intention, with the objective of serving, before self. It has involved a lot of personal sacrifices, but I have this bigger picture in my mind, which is a better, happier and prosperous Bhutan. I did not want to be a bystander and say 20 years from now, look back and say, oh, this is the state of our country, because people of our generation chose not to participate in politics. We chose our own personal comfort. I did not want to be in that category.
Yes.
So I think for a number of reasons, for both professional and personal motivation, I'm here in politics.
Ma'am, you're talking about change.
Yes.
And I think it's easier said than done
Yes.
when you're talking about change. You said you want to be part of the system and try and bring change.
Yes.
But I'm sure the past governments or the current government would also be looking into all these problems
Yes.
and would be trying to bring some change.
Yes.
But must have felt it difficult to bring change because you are going to deal with the same group of people.
Mm.
And same is the case that would be with you and your party,
Yes.
in case if you get elected.
Yes. Yes.
Now, with the same group of people and with the same bureaucracy that you're going to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel?
Yes.
It's not going to be an easy ride
Yes.
in any case.
Yes. It's not going to be an easy ride, but having said that, I would like to say that all our past leaders, including the current leaders as well, I think they've all made valuable contributions to the country. I wouldn't say they have not. But where I find the biggest challenge is sometimes there is a disconnect between our policy makers and people at the grassroots level. This is where I feel change is required. We need to be more connected to the stakeholders. We need to be more connected with people at the grassroots level, because that comprises 70% of our population. Now, having said that, for change, I think it's the bureaucracy, the civil service, that has a very important role to play, because they are the ones who are involved in any policy decision making, and they're the ones who are also involved in implementing projects and planned activities. Now, having been in the civil service myself, I've observed that we don't have a good performance management and appraisal in place. As a result, we do not encourage creativity, we do not encourage new initiatives, we do not encourage leadership, we do not encourage good performers. And there's no differentiation between good and underperformers. And I think, there is this thinking, that belief that well, if you increase the salary of civil servants, their morale will be boosted. But I don't think, having been there, I don't think that is the motivation. Yes, I think your salary may be important, but for most civil servants who are there, I think they are there because they want to be directly involved in serving the nation. I, for myself, when I joined civil service in '94, I did not look at the salary, but I wanted to serve my nation. But after getting into the system, very quickly, your morale and motivation goes down, because there are challenges in the system, there are problems in the system. And I think the first thing I want to do is see how we can revamp the civil service, how we can bring positive reforms in the civil service in increasing the morale and motivation of our civil servants, so that they are highly motivated and we have a high-performing bureaucratic system.
Yes. If the problems that you have cited right now are as severe as what you have expressed, then who would you blame? Individuals or the system? Is it a systemic flaw?
I think it's a systemic flaw, Sometimes what I find also within our own government organization is we go with the flow and we do not take a stock of where we are, where we have gone wrong, where we could have done things better, invite constructive criticism, and look at international best practices. We just go on and on with whatever we are doing, and I think we lose the bigger picture. In the process, we lose the bigger picture. And I think it's so important that we have this big vision for ourselves. Now big vision being, how do we effectively operationalize GNH? How do we ensure effective implementation of GNH across all sectors, and how each sector will contribute to that? I mean, I know it's already there right now, but I think every individual in the system, his or her role needs to be connected to the bigger picture. Only then, I think different departments and ministries would all have a sense of ownership, will have a sense of purpose, the big end purpose being happier and prosperous Bhutan. So this is what I would like to look at, where we think outside the box. Let's slow down and see where are we going now, and how can we do things differently, and also welcome constructive criticism, because without criticism we cannot embrace political positive change. So this is where I see a lot of room for different government organizations, working very closely together, sharing of information, not only within government, but also government and NGOs, government and media, government and private sector. I think there is really a need to establish, wide sense of ownership over GNH. GNH is everybody's responsibility. And this is where I see a huge potential of involving all the stakeholders on board and working towards His Majesty's vision of GNH.
Yes, for now, as a president of a newly registered political party, what do you think of the status of the implementation of GNH in our society? Because to some people that we talk to, even as a layman or a layperson, they would feel that GNH, for one would understand, is a philosophy that would state that happiness is more important than one's welfare is more important than economic development. But if you go and talk to people around, many would say that government has not done this, government has not done that, and it all amounts to economic development. Yes. And if that has failed, for them, GNH is not implemented.
Yes.
What do you think?
Actually, GNH is a remarkable concept, and it's also doable, especially given the enabling environment that we have in our country. with stable political system and environment and vibrant tradition and culture. We have everything that can make GNH work. But the only flaw I find, with operationalization of GNH is it has become too academic for a common person to understand, for a common person on the street to understand. And we have looked at more the physical dimension of GNH. We focused more on infrastructure development. I think there is more to GNH than just physical dimension. We need to look at mental, spiritual, and emotional dimension. Now, it's the responsibility of every citizen of this country to pursue your own happiness. But the state has the responsibility to create the right conditions for people to pursue their own happiness. So that is where I feel we are going wrong. And if DCT gets elected, I think this is where we are going to be looking at, and looking at other dimensions of GNH and making sure that we can truly and effectively operationalize GNH, so we can be a world leader, in taking forward GNH. And we do not want, we have already gained a lot of increasing international admiration. And I think we need to live up to that expectation. We have huge responsibility now. And more than ever now, we have all the more reason for us to be taking GNH very seriously.
Okay, coming back to bureaucracy. Bureaucracy, you just cannot avoid it.
No.
You'll have to depend on bureaucracy for any development, even if your party gets elected. For that matter, any party or any party forms the government will definitely need the highest support of bureaucracy to implement whatever policies and plans you come up with. But again, you also see lots of problems with our bureaucracy or any bureaucracy in any society, in any democratic culture. Bureaucracy is seen as a problem. How would you differently deal with our bureaucracy? Because we have found out that it's quite difficult to penetrate through our bureaucracy. And they have their own agenda, they have their own plans, they have their own ways of doing things differently. You are a politician, why should I listen to you? I'm a political, yet on a face value or on a surface level, I'll have to pretend as if I'm listening to you.
Yes.
So how would you deal differently with our kind of bureaucracy?
Yes. I think politicians should not isolate themselves from bureaucracy and vice versa, because the end objective, whether it's a politician or a bureaucrat, is same. The end objective being we are all working towards stronger, secure, happier and prosperous Bhutan. So I think there is a need for us to be working very closely with bureaucracy, involving in a lot of consultation. Because my own personal observation is that there's not much stakeholder consultation. Policies are decided by a small group of leaders, and then it is endorsed at the parliament. But I think there needs to be more involvement of the civil service, because they are the ones who are working at the grassroots level. They are the ones who are actually implementing, whatever the different parties or government has promised. And I think there is need for politicians to work very closely with bureaucracy. Not only working closely, but as I said, also correcting a lot of systemic current flaws and challenges that we have right now. So we have a highly motivated and highly performing civil service.
Yes. Are you ready for all mudslinging, allegations? Because this time around, somebody like us, who are working in media, we expect more allegations and more mudslinging because we have more numbers of political parties.
Yes.
And we'll also be covering all this. Are you prepared for all this? Because we have realized that our people can really be cynical at times.
Yes.
And feedbacks and comments would come at a very personal and malicious, at a very personal level. And those could be very nasty and malicious. So are you prepared for all this?
Yes. I think this is also one of the reasons which keeps away many people from politics, with the fear of being, ridiculed and, fear of being shamed and defamed and all that. Knowing fully what was in store for me, I think I've joined politics. And I believe that as long as my conscience is clear in the sense I want to work towards greater societal good. I want to truly put everything I have, and I want to give everything I have in the interest of our nation and take nothing. So as long as my conscience is clear, I would not be, so concerned about mudslinging associated with politics. But personally, I do not want to engage in dirty politics. I want to be able to set a good example. And so personally, I would not be engaging in any such activities. But
sometimes you'll be pulled into it.
Yes, I may be pulled into it, but I think this is something that one should not get yourself affected. And keep yourself motivated with the bigger vision that you have on your mind, the bigger objective, the bigger goal. As long as the objective, you are moving towards the objective with a clear conscience, I think mudslinging will happen. And I think it's all part of it, and one has to accept it.
Yes. How would you deal with these divisions that will be created by the political parties?
Yes.
Because in 2008, we have had two political parties, and people are divided into two groups,
Yes.
PDP and DPT.
Yes.
And even today, we hear stories about all these divisions and ugly sentiments being shared by those two divisions, which is not good for the society, especially because of our sheer size,
Right.
for a small society like ours. Now this time around, we expect people to be divided into 5 divisions, 5 groups, due to the number of political parties that we have in our society. And that will be a serious problem.
Yes.
How would you deal with it?
Yes. As a Bhutanese citizen, this is something that I felt deeply concerned about back in 2008. It was very unfortunate that 2 groups were created along the party lines, and it is also likely that now 5 groups will be created along the party lines. But I think this is where political parties have an important role to play. We should not we should not target at just winning the elections at all costs. I mean, the election is just one, but the overall objective and the vision is actually national interest. And I think keeping in mind the bigger objective, I think political parties should not engage in dirty politics and create divisions amongst different political groups. And this is something I think all political parties can play a role in avoiding it. It can be avoided. And I think also if there was probably more political awareness, I think this kind of division would also be avoided. Because related to this, what I would like to share is, if I'm in politics, it's not because I want to challenge our current Prime Minister and his cabinet ministers, or I want to challenge opposition leader. If I'm in politics, it's because I have certain views and perspective, and I have different ways of looking at things, different way of doing things. And if I'm here, it's because I truly and genuinely want to contribute towards Sawasum. It's not for myself. And because I have chosen to lead Druk Chirwang Tshogpa, people who are in other political parties should not look at me as an enemy, because if they start doing that, it would be so unfortunate. And I think it's important to remind ourselves that our objective is for greater national interests. Let's leave aside all political party affiliation and let's look at the bigger picture. So I, for one, I do not see supporters of other parties.
Once the things get heated up,
Yes.
once the campaign starts,
Yes.
till the result is finally declared,
Yes.
I think that's the period
Yes.
when all the politicians and party supporters get heated up.
Yes.
When you get heated up, you lose that bigger picture.
Yes.
And that's the time, sometimes, you'll have no choice but to react to whatever actions that you come across, whatever confrontations that you come across.
I don't believe that politics always has to go that way. I think things can be done differently. And as I said, I mean, for DCT, we intend to talk only about ourselves. We don't want to be looking at what other parties are doing and find ways of criticizing them or looking at their flaws. We only want to talk about ourselves. But sometimes, right now, when you use examples, often we end up using examples of what's happening right now. And the current government may sometimes even see that as we are criticizing them. But I would like to say that it is not criticism. When we use examples, this is the current scenario, but this is what we want to do. You can't avoid but use such examples. But it is not with an intention, with a deliberate intention to criticize or pull down anybody or to harm anybody. So this is an approach that we at DCT would like to follow. We will only talk about what we will do. What others are going to do is not our problem, and it's not our business as well.
Yes. Finally, since this is an introductory kind of program, and since this is a program that we would want our people to get familiarized with the number of political parties and the kind of political parties that have been established in our country, now that all the new parties have been registered, if you could take us through the status of Druk Chirwang Tshogpa, whatever you have done until now, briefly.
We are currently finalizing our candidates. We have some 20 candidates that are finalized, who are all in their respective constituencies, sharing more information about the party and working on the logistics. We are also currently working on our manifesto, engaging in a lot of stakeholder consultation with people, and welcoming feedback and suggestions and their views on number of issues and number of challenges. So we are still a party in making right now, and and preparing for the primary elections.
Okay, I'm Lily Wangchhuk. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you coming here and talking to us with all the things that have been developing with your party. Thank you so much. With this, we come to the end of our interview with the first female president of Bhutan, and he's heading the Druk Chirwang Tshogpa. Thank you so much for watching Dawai Kudroen. Until next Wednesday, where we bring in another guest. We're not even sure about the guest that we would invite on our next episode, but until then, it's time to say good night and Thank you.